Hey folks, Kevin Russell from Shinyribs here. Welcome to the stream. Tonight we're gonna share with you some of my personal favorites in Texas music right now, and we're going to shine a light on some of our most beloved fresh waters. We're gonna hear throughout the show from some seasoned water professionals who have dedicated their lives to making Texas and Texas waters better for you and me. I'm coming to you from my family's ranch, the Laurels Ranch, right outside Leurig in Central Texas. And I can't think of a better place to start the show. If you would, may I sing you a song? This afternoon, I walked out in to a ditch. The crawfish stirred the water. The peppermint blew in on the southeastern wind. It was raining in Port Arthur. I pulled a dead limb from a fallen pine. The sun was dropping on the lower Nature's Valley. I called the dogs from out the woods with a holler, and it was raining in Port Arthur. That night my daddy, he drove us over to Mama. He and Mama wanted to be alone. I sat up in that mimosa tree with my brother. It was raining in Port Arthur. Now the refineries, they hum and glow from the road. And I listen to the dove as she mourns. I'm standing the rice fields of Boma. It's raining in Port Arthur. Oh yes, it's raining in Port Arthur. When Texas Water Trade came to me to talk about doing a virtual event to showcase the need for protecting our lands and waters in Texas, I called a lot of friends, but I called one family member in particular, my father-in-law, David Langford, former CEO of the Texas Wildlife Association and the guiding light of our family ranch. Well, hello, David.
Howdy.
It's good to be here with you, man.
Well, I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us onto the ranch.
Well, it's partly your ranch too, so
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
Have our little water party.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us a little bit about the ranch, the history of it, and how it led you to land rights and water rights issues?
Well, it's a 7-generation ranch and is founded by my great-grandfather, Alfred Giles. And it's been divided up over the years, but the family, with a couple of exceptions, still owns the whole part, the whole ranch. And our part here is a really famous part because it has one of the major springs on it.
This is Block Creek. Where does it originate from? Where does it go to?
Block Creek begins on Highway 87 west of here, so we don't have the headwaters, but we do have several miles of Block Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really indicative of the situation that water, particularly in the Texas Hill Country, is in today. When I was growing up, Block Creek was very unusual for it to be dry. And while it's not exactly dry right now, it's not in good shape, and it has not been in good shape for a couple of decades, because in the Texas Hill Country, all of the creeks, all of the rivers, all the little streams, they're all spring fed.
Mm.
So it's like we use the bathtub example. Springs are like the water in the bathtub, and the springs are the overflow valve.
Mm-hmm.
So when the bathtub is full, when the aquifers are full,
Mm-hmm.
it flows out into the overflow valves, which are the springs, which then keep all the rivers flowing.
It's estimated that Texas population will double in the next 30 years. So with that in mind, what are some of the risk factors involved, things that are going to affect people's real lives?
Well, the best we can hope for is that they bring their water with them when they come. Otherwise, they'll all be in the situation that we're in right now. And this creek runs into the Guadalupe River about 6 miles down here. So we're responsible for putting water in Canyon Lake. So groundwater, and the indication from our well, my mother had that well drilled in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
And from 1960 until about 2000, the water level from the level of the water from below ground, below the surface, was measured. It varied a little depending on rainfall or drought, not much, but it's pretty much right around 120 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last 15 years or so, it's now 187.47. So 67 feet of water have gone somewhere, and we didn't use it.
Right.
The use here has not changed in about almost 140 years. So that's indicative of what's going to happen in the rest of the hill country. So they better bring the water with them.
Are you optimistic about anything in regards to water in Texas?
Well, I think when it really gets scarce, there probably will be some meaningful solutions, because then people are going to have to pay more attention than they're paying attention now.
Mm-hmm. You don't miss it till it's gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for meeting with us today, man.
Well, support Texas Water Trade and all the musicians that are donating their time to it. It's a great, great program, and I appreciate being involved.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, David. We love and appreciate you, man. Now we got the big boss man of Asleep at the Wheel, 9-time Grammy Award winner, Mr. Ray Benson, that tall drink of water down there by the Barton Springs Pool in the middle of Austin, Texas. Take it, Ray.
Howdy, folks. I'm Ray Benson. I'm right here at Barton Springs, the jewel of Austin, Texas, no doubt. For hundreds, maybe thousands of years, I'm not sure. I wasn't around then. This has soothed the sore backs, soles, and arms and legs of many human beings. And in the middle of a hot Texas summer, there's nothing better than to get in a cold, cool Barton Springs. So hopefully this will be here as long as people are here. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, I'm gonna live here till I die. I was born in Louisiana, down on the old bayou, raised on shrimps, catfish, man, it's good gumbo. I got the rambling fever, said bye to Ma and Pa. Across that old Red River, boys, this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, I'm gonna live here till I die. I started taming broncos, I made every rodeo, till I met a tough one, his name was Devil Joe. I grabbed hold of his bridle to ride this old outlaw. He threw me from the saddle, boys, this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, I'm gonna live here till I die. All right, y'all, come down to Barton Springs anytime you need a cool dip into the cool waters right here in Austin, Texas.
Wow, thanks, Ray. I love Barton Springs, man. No place better on a hot summer day than down there at Barton Springs, man. Knocking them back, swimming around. A little lower down the Colorado River, my friend Carrie Rodriguez is hanging out. Not at the secret beach, but she's at the secret beach. Let's see what she's got going on. Carrie, what's up?
This little stretch of the Colorado River in the heart of East Austin and just a few miles away from our house means everything to our family. My son Cruz and I call it the secret beach. We've spent countless slow days here, fossil hunting, bird watching, and wading in these cool waters. To be able to access nature right in the midst of a bustling city brings us so much peace. I am grateful beyond words. Black clay on my mind, out of touch and out of time. No concrete or yellow lights, just bare feet and knotted vines. Find me standing on the edge of the Colorado. Live oak and cedar cliffs, from Boggy Creek to Montopolis. We'll never know how much we missed 100 years before this. never can go back, it seems. We'll never know what nothing means. So turn off the phone, turn out the lights. I'll meet you in my dreams tonight. Find me standing on the edge of the Colorado. I wanna go back to a river town before the age of the runaround. To that moment I can hear my mama calling me back home.
Thanks, Carrie. I always love to hear Carrie Rodriguez. Folks, we want to focus tonight out in West Texas at Comanche Springs in Fort Stockton. Comanche Springs used to be the size of Barton Springs, but no longer runs year-round. And Texas Water Trade, with their partners, want to bring it back. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Sharlene Leurig, the CEO of Texas Water Trade, and a couple of fellows who know a whole lot about Comanche Springs. Billy Gonzales and Paul Weatherby.
Hi, I'm Sharlene Leurig, CEO of Texas Water Trade. We're a nonprofit working statewide to ensure a future of clean flowing water for all Texans and for nature. And with the state's population due to double over the next 30 years, this work feels more important than ever before. Thank you for joining us this evening to support the restoration of Comanche Springs, once one of the 6 largest springs in Texas. We're here in historic Fort Stockton at the Comanche Springs Pool to learn more about this spring's history and its future. Along the way, we met 2 local water heroes, Billy Gonzales and Paul Weatherby, who are doing their part to lay the pathway for that vision to be realized. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Both of you are from Fort Stockton. Can you share some of your memories of Comanche Springs with us?
Well, Comanche Springs, my memories are the only time we would see them flow is whenever it would rain or heavy floods. Out here is the only time we would see.
Well, I was around when the springs would flow, make a real big circle through Fort Stockton, miles and miles around and come back. There were people irrigating out of the springs. There was a water master. There was actually some dairies. There was actually pecan farm, pecan orchards, alfalfa hay. There were over 100 plus families that were making a living off their, back in that time period. Making their living completely relying on the springs.
So Billy, you think about water all day, every day. What does water mean to you personally? What does it mean to this community?
Well, water is everything out here. People need it for their houses and everything, and can't live without it. And it is a good attraction out here for the people out here. It's a distraction. So it's real nice out here.
The spring water was the livelihood of everything around here back in the day. And of course now we hope to preserve it, and we hope to develop it to where it's a continual attraction for, as Fort Stockton was back in the day. It's very important to us that we figure out some way to keep it going. Yeah.
So Billy, you took it upon yourself this year to come out and clear this trail for everybody in the community to enjoy. Can you share a little bit about how you saw people's relationship to this place change once you'd done that work?
Last year I cleaned out the canals, and this year I wanted to do something different. And I was originally going to clean up this area over here in the back only, but then I got carried away. I said, well, I'll clean up a little bit more, and we got down and just cleared it up, and still at it, still working at it little by little.
The Solomon Springs over at Balmorhea, those people have done a wonderful job over the last 40, 50 years in developing it into quite a tourist attraction, and it brought a lot of money in locally to the community. And some of us are actually looking at this developing into basically the same thing as what Solomon Springs and the natural swimming pool, all of the above. Make it work.
What would it mean to you personally or to the community to have Comanche Springs flowing here again?
It would mean, it would be something nice and everything for me, myself, because I'm working on this, making it look for the people out here, make it look nice. And it would keep kids busy out here, enjoying themselves, and family.
Well, it would bring, as we said a while ago, it would bring a lot back to Fort Stockton. I see, even since the work that Billy and his crew has done right here, the social media that we have nowadays everywhere, there's been some in the letters to the editor in the paper, I believe, but I've seen a lot of favorable comments from tourists that have come in that they were able to see this and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And as long as we can keep progressing with all this and the restoration of it, there'll just be more to come. It'll be wonderful.
So Texas Water Trade has been doing a lot of work out here with yourselves and other members of the community to think about what it would mean to restore Comanche Springs. Can you share what it's like to do that work with another entity not from Fort Stockton, but thinking about the vision of what this place could be?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity to look at what research and what information and what avenues of cooperation and funding, and put it all together over time. I know it takes time, but the older generation here in Pecos County, they do know about the springs. They understand, and they wish they would flow. Now, as you get into the younger generations, they just don't know. But if we can ever get a plan developed that's reasonable and feasible, financially, every way, shape, and form, then we would be what I guess, for better words, we would be back on the map like it used to be, all across the country, not just here. I'm talking about everywhere.
Thank you so much, Billy and Paul, for taking us on this tour. You can see how important our local partners are to the work that we do restoring the bays and the rivers of the state of Texas. Thank you so much to them. Thank you to our sponsors for tonight's event, our spring level sponsors, HEB, Pioneer Natural Resources, and Yeti, our river sponsors, Enabler, Apache Corporation, Garrison Brothers Distillery, the Environmental Defense Fund, and Devon Energy Corporation, all of the sponsors who contributed to this evening's event. Yeti has provided some amazing gifts for donors to tonight's fundraiser. If you feel moved to make a donation, you can click on the link below. And now a word from Yeti, and then back to the music.
Yeti makes bags?
Yep. Fascinating stuff. I hope the world for Comanche Springs and Fort Stockton. What a great thing it would be for Fort Stockton if we can get those springs flowing again. Speaking of, we want to give a big shout out to Belding Farms just there outside of Fort Stockton. Thank you for being a river level sponsor and really helping us put this program on tonight along with our other sponsors. Thank you, Belding Farm. Those of you watching, if you like what you hear, if you are into this idea of protecting the fresh waters of Texas, bringing springs back to life, if you are into that, now's your chance to donate. Donate tonight, anything you can. But for every donation, $100 or more, you get entered in a raffle. Everybody likes a raffle. A raffle to win Yeti merch. Everybody likes a Yeti. So if you're ready for a Yeti, $100 or more, give it to us. One of the great things about Texas is even when you're high up on a hill, you're never far from a lake or a river or a creek. Let's hear from our old friend Carter Smith from Texas Parks and Wildlife. He's down there at McKinney Falls. What's happening, Carter?
I'm Carter Smith, and I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. We're here at McKinney Falls, and one of these signature namesake features, of course, of the state park, a place that people have been coming for generations to swim and camp and hike and fish and kayak and bird watch and just enjoy all of the bounty of Mother Nature. And my family's been coming here since I was a kid. My wife and I got engaged here at McKinney Falls State Park, so it's very special to me personally. And of course, the park itself is part of a network of about 90 state parks around the state that help to tell and share the life and history and story of our great state. They help to make memories for millions of Texans each year. And oftentimes the centerpiece of that, of course, is a water feature inside the park. And whether that's McKinney Falls or Pedernales Falls or Caddo Lake or the Guadalupe River, water is central to the experience and the memories of so many of our park visitors. Well, I always think of water as really being that proverbial lifeblood and lifeline for all of us in Texas, wherever we are, whoever we are, wherever we live, whatever we do. And in my world, from a conservation perspective, there's nothing more important than clean, sustainable supplies of water. And that's true whether we're talking about, growing and managing healthy habitats for fish and wildlife, helping ensure that we have vigorous springs and free-flowing creeks and rivers and streams and vibrant bay systems. Water is at the root of all of that. The big questions, of course, that we've been grappling with and we're going to have to continue to grapple with as the population grows is, with respect to water, is, where's it going to come from and who's going to get it and how much are they going to get? And certainly for those of us that love the outdoors and who care about all of these wild things and wild places that are so dependent upon water, we want to make sure that the environment and the outdoors gets its fair share. And that's going to be an important part of the planning as we balance the, again, plurality of needs across the state. Almost everything we do at Texas Parks and Wildlife Department is focused on water conservation. It's about preserving and conserving these special iconic places that are so near and dear to us. If we don't have healthy, clean water, we're going to lose a lot, not only from a fish and wildlife perspective, but also this abundant outdoor recreation economy that is really centered around the use and responsible enjoyment of water, the boating and the swimming and the fishing and the camping and the hunting and kayaking. And so, our dual mission focused around stewardship and outdoor recreation is in no small part defined by how we do with helping to protect the state's water. I think what gives me hope about the future of water is just how much Texans care about their home ground, and they're passionate about their sense of place, and water is central for all of us. And we care about it, we care deeply about it, and ultimately it's something that we can all contribute to, right? At home, in our own lives, we can all make a contribution to water conservation. We can also support organizations like the Texas Water Trade or Ducks Unlimited or other conservation-related organizations that are focused on helping to ensure that we have clean, sustainable supplies of water that are going to benefit not only us, but future generations to come.
Thank you, Carter. I know Texas Parks has been a lifesaver for many of us during the COVID lockdown. Nice to see you today. My next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is my beloved compadre, Mr. JonDee Graham. Texas music legend, thinker, poet, philosopher, artist, sage of South Austin, I like to call him. He's on the edges of his sacred Blund Creek today down in the heart of Austin, Texas. What you got for us, John?
Hey everybody, JonDee Graham here. I'm not going to give away the exact location because this is my secret hiding place, but this is Blund Creek. We're 10 minutes away from downtown, Austin tops with traffic. 4 minutes walking from my house. This beautiful Texas Waterway Amphitheater. Don't tell anybody about it. It's even got its own little waterfall.
All of the stars that hang in the sky, one of them came loose and fell into my eyes. A beautiful bird, a beautiful light, a beautiful blindness, sweeter than sight. Oh, morning come morning, the stars fade away, and I know that the look on your face, you're smiling, smiling, all of the while, smiling, smiling, that mockingbird smile. Slip through the window and sleep on the floor. Hang all your high hopes on a nail by the door. Walk by the water down the park. Sit on the big rock and talk until dark. Oh, morning come evening, the day fades away, and I know that look on your face, you were smiling, smiling, all of the while, smiling, smiling, that mockingbird smile. You were smiling, smiling, all of the while, smiling, smiling, that mockingbird smile.
Thank you, John. Love you, brother. Next, we're going to go see Jay Kleberg, founder of Explore Ranches and a Texas Water Trade Board member. He's down at the Barton Creek Greenbelt. Jay's a conservationist and a storyteller, producer of The River and the Wall and the upcoming Deep in the Heart, a Texas Wildlife Story.
Hi, I'm Jay Kleberg, and I'm a business owner and a conservationist, and we're here in Austin at the Hill of Life Dam at the Barton Creek Greenbelt. I chose this spot here in Austin because I've lived here now for 8 years, and just recently in the last couple of years have really been exploring this area. And it's such a huge asset to the city, to my family, and specifically as far as water goes, this is the convergence of a watershed that ultimately feeds the lake in the center of town that ends up feeding the Gulf. And to me, it was kind of a symbol of how important water is, not just to a city in Texas, but to the rest of the state. Water's important to me because I've been working in land conservation specifically for the last decade. I grew up on a ranch in South Texas that, if not for water, we would not have been able to run a ranching enterprise for the last 170 years. And as a professional now, I really understand the connectivity between protecting land and how that benefits the water resources, not just above ground, what we can see and how that impacts wildlife, but really the amazing system of aquifers that are underlying all of us, and how much we rely, both our economy and our population, on those water resources, groundwater and surface water. It's essential to life in Texas, not just to the human population, but to wildlife as well. We've got a large amount of growth up and down the I-35 corridor from Dallas all the way down to McAllen and the border, and we've got to figure out, there are more people coming here every day than ever, and we have to figure out a way to supply water to those populations that are providing for our economy and jobs. But also, part of the reason why people come to Texas is because there's a great quality of life, and that to me is associated with water and open space and all of the wild things that people love about Texas and have for centuries. And so it's about balancing the needs of the human population with the wild population that we're all connected to. I've made a commitment to ensuring that the state of Texas and its wildlife have fresh water far into the future. It's the greatest challenge of our generation, and making sure that people understand, that are here and that will be coming here, that there is connectivity between water that falls thousands of miles from the coast and all of the groundwater that's underneath all of us. That there is a connection, and that we've got to work hard with purpose to ensure that there's a balance. Yeah, a memory that would not have happened without clean running water in Texas is this last summer during the pandemic. My family and I had the opportunity to go to the San Marcos River, and we spent a few days just canoeing and fishing. And I remember looking over, I was sitting on a bank with my wife, and my three daughters were out playing on a sandbar and picking up crawdads and swinging off a rope swing, and thinking, how lucky we are in Texas to have clean flowing water, and that I'm hopeful that my kids and their children will be able to have the same opportunities and experiences years from now. If people like what they've heard tonight, then I would encourage them to support the work of Texas Water Trade, because water is a shared resource and impacts not only our quality of life, but that of future generations.
I'm ready for some more music, some more Texas music. And when I think of Texas music, I think of my friend Bruce Robison, one of the most successful songwriters in Texas. But in recent years, he's put together a great way to record and market and distribute Texas music to you and me. I'm so thankful for it. And here he is down there at the home of the next waltz, in his bunker studio, Mr. Bruce Robison.
Hey, Bruce Robison here, and I consider myself so lucky to have grown up right between the Medina River and the Guadalupe, and spent my entire childhood on those beautiful bodies of water, and the entire town of Bandera comes from that river that goes right through town. And then ended up moving to Austin, which is right on a river as well. So what a treasure, and something that we have to protect. So long, rain, Louisiana, never see me no more. $100, 30 days in the slammer, I'd rather hit the road. I've found that I'm going crazy, every day here the same. I'm bound to go to the city where nobody knows my name. How many days can I walk this road from the levee to the farm? I wake up every morning in the same old place, only the leaving is left and gone. Oh, it's all gone. So long, oh, New Orleans, nothing but a waste of time. Hot nights down in the quarter took me my last dime. I count the waves in the water just like an old drunk bum. Deep down Mississippi River, where's that all come from? How many days can I spend in the shadows, hiding from the sun, waiting for the night to spend your money on a point that never comes? Oh, it never comes. So long, New York City, my dreams are dead and gone. No heart and no damn pity, I believe I'm headed home. One time before I'm leaving, I'm gonna roll them dice. If it comes in, I got no worries. If I lose my life. How many days can I spend in the middle of the black concrete and cars? Been so cruel and care so little about a man that's come so far, so far. Oh, come so far. So long, Ray, Louisiana, never see me no more.
Tonight, a special treat. My musical friend Josh Baca, the master of the Texas accordion. Whether it's playing tonight with his Uncle Max in Los Texmaniacs or in his own band, the Hot Tamales, you'll see why Josh Baca is one of my favorites. Let it rip, baby.
Folks, I'm Max Baca.
Josh Baca.
And we are
Los Texmaniacs.
And we're here at the San Antonio River, and we're going to play a little music. You know, every live being needs water. And this is one of our favorite places to come just to relax and just to get a peace of mind and clear the mind.
We're right here on the San Antonio River downtown in the King Williams district, San Antonio, Texas. Myself and my uncle grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, off the Rio Grande River. Our families, my grandfather, which was an accordionist from Albuquerque, would travel from North Albuquerque to South Albuquerque, crossing the Rio Grande all the time, and it's a beautiful resource that we need to preserve and take care of here in this good old Lone Star State here in Texas.
Yeah.
There we go.
Por mi madre yo soy mexicano, por destino soy americano. Yo soy de la raza de oro, yo soy México americano. Yo te comprendo en inglés, también te hablo en castellano. Yo soy de la raza noble, yo soy México americano. Eso. Zacatecas a Minnesota, de Tijuana a Nueva York, los países son mi tierra, los defiendo con honor. Dos idiomas y dos países, dos culturas tengo yo, en mi suerte tengo orgullo, porque así lo manda Dios. Por mi madre yo soy mexicano, por destino soy americano, yo soy de la raza de oro, yo soy México americano. On behalf of Max Baca, Josh Baca, those Texmaniacs. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. You know what? We're happy and honored to be here to perform this wonderful tune for all you beautiful people out there.
Texas
Thanks, Max and Josh Baca down in San Antonio, Texas. Wow. While we're down in San Antonio, we're going to go see Gary Perez. He's going to tell us a story about the blue hole on the Incarnate Word campus, a spring much like Comanche Springs that was once so strong it was a geyser. It has great meaning to Gary and his community. This is the creation story of San Antonio Springs.
The creation story of the Payaya people of this region say that the water bird flew into the hole where the blue panther was, the springs here. The water bird then turned around and flew back out. And from its tail feathers, it let out the droplets from the water into this region, and that's how life came to be. The interesting thing about that story is that it takes place actually in the skies over San Antonio. Once a year, on November 11th or November 12th, the constellation of Phoenix rises up out of the horizon, being chased by the constellation of Leo. That is your cat. To the left of Leo is the star Phecta. The star Phecta is the star in the sky analogous to this spring. The actual relationship between the water bird and the panther is the panther's roar. The panther's roar is the Leonid's meteor shower that takes place every year from November 11th through the 12th. And that meteor shower is analogous to the droplets of water that the bird is laying out into the landscape in order to bring life to this region. My name is Gary Perez, and I am a 10th generation Tejano. My families are from South Texas and Northeastern Mexico. I'm a member of the Native American Church and a board member here at the Headwater Sanctuary, a ministry of the Congregation of Sisters of the Incarnate Word. I chose the blue hole here at the Headwaters because it's empty. The creation stories that are involved with this blue hole can only be told really when the water is flowing. And this spring is tied to the 3 other springs north of here along I-35, along the Balcones Escarpment. Comal Springs in New Braunfels, San Marcos Springs in San Marcos, and Barton Springs in Austin. And these 4 fountain springs are analogous to the 4 stars on the tail of Ursa Major. These springs will flow roughly every 3 to 5 years after sustained heavy rains for maybe a couple of weeks. So every now and then, these springs will come up just a little bit and flow down the creek for just one day and then back up again. And that's usually during the summer when it's really, really very hot. And these springs struggle to come back up again. You know, this spring used to be a 20-foot geyser. The earliest owner of this property, General Brackenridge, actually started the San Antonio waterworks system. And what you could do is you could punch a hole into the Edwards limestone into the aquifer, and the pressure was so great that it would deliver water to anywhere within, 5 miles without having to use water pumps. Eventually, there were so many holes poked into the Edwards limestone, into the Edwards aquifer, that the 20-foot geyser behind me stopped flowing that high anymore. It didn't happen anymore. And General Brackenridge told himself in a letter, I killed my child. One of the reasons, in all fairness, why it's not running is because the elevation of this spring is higher than the other 3 on down I-35. This spring was part of a system of 4 fountain springs along the Balcones Escarpment. This particular spring was a 20-foot geyser. What concerns me is that what's been called global warming, right? Longer, more severe droughts are going to affect the way we've been caring for the water here in the state of Texas. You can't have so many people move into this region and provide them with water we're using now if there's going to be a major drought. We can all work together to help provide the sustainability and help these springs come back permanently.
All right, if any of you have been working in water in Texas for any amount of time, y'all all know Andy Sansom. He's over there in San Marcos and Spring Lake, where another spring has been flowing and nourishing Texas for centuries. What's happening, Andy?
My name is Andrew Sansom. Most people call me Andy, and I'm sitting here on the banks of Spring Lake on the campus of Texas State University, where I work at the Meadows Center for Water and the Environment. Well, let me count the ways that this place is special to me. First of all, it is home to 8 federally listed endangered or threatened species. It is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, continuously inhabited site in North America, and it's the second largest artesian spring in the western United States. It's a site of global significance where water is concerned. Water has always been a significant factor in my life, and I'm sure part of the reason I've done what I've done over the last however many years. I grew up on a creek, and I spent most of my afternoons in a boat on the creek, fishing or paddling. I was a lifeguard in a swimming pool. I've found over the years that water, in addition to being the one element that no life can exist without, water is a source of spiritual renewal. Think about the number of people who go to the Jordan every year to be baptized, or to the millions of people that go to immerse themselves in the Ganges. And it's that way for me as well. Water is absolutely critical to preserving the environment, whether it's animals or plants or the landscape. It all boils back down to having sufficient supplies of water. I've been working here at Texas State University for the past 20 years on attempting to try to address the issue of providing water availability in the years ahead. We have the finest system of bays and estuaries of any state, and yet they're totally dependent on continued flows of fresh water to renew them. And yet we've done almost nothing to protect that water. And so this is why, in my mind, we've got to establish some sort of a marketplace so that water can essentially be purchased solely for the purpose of leaving it in the rivers and committing it to the environment. I don't really have a choice except to be optimistic. I think that there are some signals. Number one, there's a growing understanding that, like organizations like the Nature Conservancy have used the marketplace to preserve land in Texas, that we can do the same thing with water. And I find optimism in that. I find it extremely encouraging that more and more children are coming to places like this and understanding that water is a place that they can have fun, that it's important to the environment, but that they also are going to have to take responsibility for it. And so every time I see a child learn to skip a rock or catch a fish or learn to swim, it gives me hope that that child will grow up understanding that he or she has got to become involved in order to make sure that water is there for their children. The thing I think that's important about efforts like Texas Water Trade is that, once again, virtually all of our water resources are already overcommitted. And what that means is that even if the state of Texas decided all of a sudden to start dedicating water to the environment, it couldn't do it because it's already committed it for other purposes. And so the only way around that is to establish some sort of a marketplace where philanthropy, government grants, and other sources of funding can be used to purchase water to replenish things like Comanche Springs or the bays and estuaries along the coast. I think to be a good ancestor, the first thing we need to do is use less. The cities of San Antonio and El Paso, for example, have lowered their water consumption by 40% per capita, continued to grow, and yet their overall water consumption has been flat. In spite of that fact, the nation of Israel is 6 times as efficient as San Antonio or El Paso. And then, of course, one of the things that everyone can do, everyone, no matter if you're a lawyer or an accountant or a banker or a school teacher, every one of us can find a way during the course of a year to take a child out and introduce them to water.
Thank you, Andy. And folks, if you're ever out there in San Marcos, go to Texas State, to Spring Lake at the Meadows Center, and You can still ride those glass-bottom boats, those classic glass-bottom boats that used to be at Ocarina Springs, man. I remember those as a kid. I remember taking my kids on those too. Our next guest is Jack Ingram, a rascal raconteur, a Texas original, fresh off of his appearance on the Academy of Country Music Awards, ladies and gentlemen. Jack Ingram.
Times like these, I dream of muscle cars, cold beer and funky bars, laughing and joking. All right. Times like these, I dream of muscle cars, cold beer and funky bars, laughing and joking. In times like these, old friends and enemies come together, man, come on, please. Life's just a good game of poker. In times like these, it ain't lost on me. Yeah, essentially, it's just the little things, big love and simple dreams. Times like all I'm looking for is nothing left and nothing more than the hand that I'm holding. In times like these, you learn to take it on the chin. You give a damn's gonna work again. Yeah, but right now it's broken. In times like these, it ain't lost on me. Yeah, essentially, it's still the little things, big love and simple dreams. In times like times like these, it's time to take a walk. I'm here if you don't want to talk. Sometimes the silence is golden. In times like these, you always said the sky would fall. But anyway, and after all, wasn't it a lovely explosion? In times like these, it ain't lost on me. Yeah, essentially, still the little things, big love and simple dreams. Yeah, sometimes all we need is a hug from your family in times like Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Love you, you old salty dog. Cody Canada's up next. Cody, to me, is truly one of the greatest men in red dirt Texas music today. Anyone will tell you that. He's been a great friend to me. He's a friend to humanity. He's a friend to the waters of Texas. And here he is, right now, Cody Canada, on the banks of the old Guadalupe River.
Hey y'all, Cody Canada here, standing in front of the Guadalupe River. I am originally from Pampa, Texas. I moved to Oklahoma when I was very, very young, probably 2. And when I was 23 years old, I came down to New Braunfels, Texas for the first time. And floated this river, played green hall with our buddy Gary P, and fell in love with the town. And here's a song about all of that. I got one foot in front of the other. I got the wind at my back. I got the bluebird of happiness on my shoulder, along with everything that I could pack. Won't give me down, won't get me down. You could dig a hole, put me in the ground, but you won't get me down. This old guitar done some living, and it's made a lot for me. Well, it's seen its share by fights, and it sat in a corner and cried for me. Won't get it down, won't get it down. If it never made another sound, won't get it down. She wears my ring on her finger, and we swore we'd always be true. There's no doubt our love will linger long after this old world is through. Won't get us down, won't get us down. You can slander us all over town, you won't get us down. There's a man they call Jesus, and he did a lot for me. Everything we do, he sees us. Yeah, he walks through eternity. Won't get him down, won't get him down. He was crucified with a thorny crown. Won't get him down, won't get him down. Won't get him down. Yeah, someday he'll be back around. Won't get him down.
Cody, Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Cody, my brother. After Jack and Cody, there's really nowhere else for us to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have to find a quintessential Texas music legend for this moment. None other than the man himself, Gary P. Nunn.
Hi, this is Gary P. Nunn, sitting here this afternoon on the banks of the beautiful Brazos River. You know what I like about Texas? I love it when people come together to preserve our precious Texas resources. I'm gonna do you a song right now. Well, you ask me what I like about Texas. I tell you it's so wide open spaces. It's everything between the Sabine and the Rio Grande. You see, I know Estacado. It's the Brazos and the Colorado. It's the spirit of the people who share this land. It's another burrito and a cold love star in my hand. It's a quarter bar that jukebox will play the sons of the mother-loving Bunkhouse Band. You ask me what I like about Texas. It's the big timber around the neck of Notches. Driving El Camino Real down to San Antonio. It's a river walking me together, jamming out with Mungo Joe. The stories of the Manger Hotel and the Alamo. You remember the Alamo? It's another burrito. It's a cold lone star in my hand. It's a quarter bar, the jukebox boy play the sons of the mother-loving Bunkhouse Band. Well, you ask me what I like about Texas. It's blue bonnets and Indian paint bushes, swimming in the sacred water of the Portland Spring. his body surfing the frill. Saturday night in Del Rio, crossing over the border for some cultural shame. It's another burrito, it's a crawl on star in my hand. It's a quarter for the jukebox boys to play the sons of the mother-loving bunkhouse band. You ask me what I like about Texas. Well, I could tell y'all that we'd be here all night.
Gary P. Nunn. I mean, come on. Come on. Wow. All right, we're about to head down to the coast now, but before we head down to the coast, folks, I want you to hit that link below. Every dollar you spend will go towards preserving Texas waters. Please, please do it. And how perfect is it that now we're going to speak to a great fly fisherman who is also from a famous Texas music family. JT Van Zandt is down there in Rockport, Texas on Copano Bay. What's up, JT?
My name is JT Van Zandt, and I'm a fly fishing guide on the middle Texas coast. Copano Bay is a really intimate bay for me. Like I lived on Copano Bay for a number of years up until Hurricane Harvey. This is a little beach that I bring my kids from my house just a couple blocks away, and we take little evening strolls down here, and it's a beautiful sunset. Copano is kind of an inland bay, meaning it's kind of carved out into the mainland body of Texas, and so on this shoreline we're actually facing west, which along the Texas Gulf Coast, if you're standing on the water's edge, you're usually looking east towards the sunrise. So Copano is known for its sunsets, and it's just a powerful place for me. I did a lot of fishing here, started fly fishing in this area, and yeah, it's just a real personal spot. I have built my entire life around water. I love being on a boat. I think I chose this profession mainly, not so much my love for fishing, but my love for being on the water, and the feeling that I get, the release, kind of a spiritual. You know, it sounds a little corny and over philosophical, but yeah, I just feel the best on the water, in or around it. Even when you're conservation minded, you can still tune up your act. Everyone can do a lot in their household to avoid overusing water. You know, living down here on the Texas coast, we depend on, this estuary depends on, for all of its sea life, all the shrimp and crabs and bait fish require fresh water and all the nutrients that travel through those rivers down to the coast. You know, I'm optimistic about our future in Texas with water just because, you know, people do change. It typically does take losing something sacred for you to modify your practices, but, you know, conservation and sustainability is going to be necessary for us to maintain life on this planet. So I think as Texans kind of feel the pinch, whether, you know, we all just went through this giant freeze where a lot of us lost water and we lost energy. So I think hopefully that was a spark to create change where people realize how precious. It's not just a given. It's not a right. It's sort of like this amazing privilege to have running water in your house. And so, yeah, I hope everyone that went through kind of that major weather event looks at their energy and their water source a little more carefully. I'm just that guy, you know, I have to be by the coast, I have to be near fishing, and just looking over it, just breathing it and imagining what's in its depths. Like, gosh, how can you even begin? Like, there's all this talk about Mars. After we screw this place up so bad, it's uninhabitable, we're gonna go move to this like desolate rock with no water on it. No thanks, I'll stick it out here and try to protect what we have left.
There you have the Fly Ties In with JT Van Zandt. If the rivers are so sweet, how does the sea get its salt? I have one idea. We'll go back up the Pedernales River and see the hill country gentleman, Walt Wilkins.
Hi y'all, I'm Walt Wilkins. Welcome to a beautiful morning on the Pedernales. It's one of my favorite rivers, but I love them all. I grew up around here and I've spent time in all these rivers, and it's an honor to be part of this event and a small part of the work they're doing. So I chose a song I wrote with Kent Finley, who lived right on the banks of the San Marcos River. I love them all. Got no line, and I got no pole. I just brought time to this old fishing hole. The sky is blue, the water's clear. I've got all I need right here. There's a breeze blowing by, little shade and a little sun, and I've got nothing to do, and I'm not leaving till I'm done. There's a blue cat on the bottom, a little frog on the bank, and I just pitched a pretty pebble to watch the ripples while it sank. Hear the crickets in the meadow singing songs they've always sung, and I've got nothing to do, and I'm not leaving till I'm done. I'm not leaving till I'm done. I'm not leaving till I'm through. Slowing down this crazy life for just a day or two. No, I think I'll hang right here till the webs are all unspun. I've got nothing to do. I'm not leaving till I'm done. There's a ruckus downriver, and I look up to see the sight. A mama duck gathering up her ducklings for the night. And twilight is gathering too, and I've only just begun. I've got nothing to do, and I'm not leaving till I'm done. I'm not leaving till I'm done. I'm not leaving till I'm through. Slowing down this crazy life for just a day or two. No, I think I'll hang right here till the webs are all unspun. I've got nothing to do, and I'm not leaving till I'm done. I've got nothing to do, and I'm not leaving till I'm done. These are beautiful rivers. Take care of them. God bless them.
All right, last but not least, one of the fastest rising, most exciting stars in Texas music today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm proud to call him my friend. Young man from the Rio Grande Valley, singing us a song tonight out there on the Rio Grande itself. Charley Crockett.
Hello, I'm Charley Crockett. That Rio Grande River back there behind me, well, I was born on it. It sure does mean a whole lot to me. Here's a little number, old-time classic called Sharecropper's Son. We moved there from somewhere when I was 14. Worked this poor land for bacon and beans. Landlord, he said that hard times is near, but that don't mean a thing, cause they already here. From daylight till dark, my work's never done. May the Lord have mercy on this sharecropper's son. Mama's got the fever and the baby's sick too. Papa's downtown just soaking up that booze. Fresh out of prison says he's never going back. Ain't a bloodhound in Georgia that could follow his track. From daylight till dark, my work's never done. May the Lord have mercy on this sharecropper's son. We bought a new mule, brought 'em up from down south. It kicked chewing tobacco right out of your mouth. Water in the well, nearly plain out of sight. Can't take a bath on a Saturday night. From daylight till dark, my work's never done. May the Lord have mercy on this sharecropper's son. Crops are wilted, no rain day or night. Preacher come for dinner, but we ain't got a bite. Living in the family, 10 daughters and a son. Mama just told us there'll be another one. From daylight till dark, my work's never done. May the Lord have mercy on this sharecropper's son.
Charley Crockett, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. What a night it's been. The music is incredible. But what's important, what we hope we've gotten into your soul, your hearts and minds tonight, is the need to protect our Texas waters. So please hit that link down below. Give what you can. $100 or more, you can get in the raffle for the Yeti products. That about wraps it up tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the music and listen to our message about Texas water. We'll see you next time, folks. Shinyribs loves you.
Good night, moon. Good night, stars. Good night, old broke down cars. I'm going away. I'm leaving soon. Good night, darling. Good night, moon. I don't know where I'll be. I don't know if I'll see out the window of my room, shining down. Good night, moon. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna miss you when the night comes round. That's when I long to kiss you, the moon shining on the ground. So good night, moon. Good night, stars. And good night, old broke down cars. I'm going away. I'm leaving soon. So good night, darling. Good night, moon. Yeah, good night, darling. Good night, moon.